Hi everyone, this is Kristen with IngramSpark. Thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to introduce a few wonderful ladies to you this afternoon. We will be talking about book marketing strategies of the successful self-published author, featuring Joan Holman and, of course, our very own Robin Cutler. But before I turn it over to them, I wanted to just do a few little housekeeping tidbits. First of all, we're live tweeting. You also have that capability in your viewer. It should be located on the right-hand side of your viewer. If it's not there, you can look at the bottom, and there's a bar of icons that should have the little Twitter bird on there. You can pull that up. It's already handles are pre-inputted and everything, so you just have to tweet away and join us in that. Also, if you have questions, we will have time at the end. We usually save about 10-15 minutes at the end to answer questions, so feel free to send them in during the webinar. We'll answer you, but we'll also, save out one so everyone will be able to hear them at the end. There is a Q&A box. Again, if you don't see it on the left-hand side of your screen, then look at the bottom, and you can pull that up to ask any questions. There's a printable version of the presentation on the bottom left-hand side as well. If you want to print that out and take notes on that, you can do that. If you want to print it out for after, feel free to do so. We've recorded all of the webinars and then put them up on our YouTube channel probably about 48 hours to 72 hours after the webinar. You'll also receive follow-up emails with that recording. So don't fret if you missed a question or you missed a point. It will be available to listen to again. And we do this every month. So we've got a few good lineups coming up here the next few months. So pay attention to our social media and our newsletter. If you're not signed up for that, get signed up and you'll know what's coming up in the next month or so. And that is all I have for you. So I will hand you over to Robin Cutler. She's the director of IngramSpark. She is the pillar of self-publishing here at Ingram. Great thought leader in the industry and has all kinds of publishing information from her years of experience. And welcome, Robin. I'm happy that you are here with us today.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, everyone who are joining us today. As we get into the fall season, I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying fabulous weather, as I am where I live here in New Mexico. I am so happy to have back with us Joan Holman. She is really well known in the industry, especially the self-publishing and indie author sort of part of publishing. She is the founder of the Self-Publishing Zone and works a lot with indie authors and knows a lot, especially around the marketing of your book. It's just a wealth of information for all of you who've joined us today, and really happy to have you here today, Joan. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Robin. And I'm going to proceed to our first slide here. I just want to say hello to everybody. I am in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we have no snow, so come visit us. It's a nice place. And I know that there's going to be authors and people who want to be authors who are writing both fiction and nonfiction. And so I have examples here from both of those categories. So if you aren't hearing something that is relating to the kind of book you want to write or have written, just hang on and stay on during this webinar, because I am going to touch upon business books and, biography, some fiction, and different categories. So one of the things that I have noticed, and I work with a lot of authors, and I have worked with both traditionally published authors by the big publishing houses, the big five, as well as authors all over the world. I've worked with a lot of thought leaders in business and in integrative healing, spirituality, and so many authors who have been traditionally published come to me, and they're so very disappointed that their publishers are not promoting their book and not doing much of a marketing effort at all. And things have been changing rapidly here because of technology, the internet, print on demand, and now fantastic services like IngramSpark, which is, I believe, the largest book wholesale distributor in America, but in the world, isn't it? Is it, Robin? Is it in the whole world?
Yes.
The whole world.
No, we're yeah, that's right.
So IngramSpark is accessible now to someone who's just publishing one book, even, and small indie presses, and this has been not the case in the past. So you have access to worldwide distribution, and you have access to distribution into libraries. Now, the library market is, I'm not doing a presentation on the library market, but that's actually a huge market. And there are more libraries than bookstores, and you can get a license to actually, have many copies of your books in libraries. So IngramSpark is a really important resource for you if you're thinking of getting into all markets. So as I was saying, I've worked with both traditionally published and self-published, and I've noticed, people who succeed and people who don't succeed with their books. And I've also done extensive research on who is succeeding out there, generally speaking, with their books and what strategies they have been using. So the first strategy I want to talk about, which is a terrific strategy for fiction or nonfiction, is to tie into some geographic location or local community. If you can engage a local community, they will promote your book for you. And so my first example is a book called The Lace Reader. And this book, the woman who wrote it was originally from Salem, Massachusetts, and she had moved away, and she decided to move back. And Salem, Massachusetts is a very important historical site, location in the United States. It's where they had the Salem witch trials. And so she decided to write a book that was set in Salem and that featured lots and lots of different locations right in Salem. And examples, Red's Sandwich Shop, the First Unitarian Church, the Dairy Witch Ice Cream Shop. And she then engaged all of these local merchants and sites and the Historical Society to actually help promote her book. And because the book was so location-centric, the whole community got pretty excited about this, and she got local book clubs and reviewers to actually take the book and give her feedback on the book, and of course local bookstores, and so that was a real key to her success. Of course, she wrote a good book, but if you can get local interest and you can get people that are excited about your book, avid readers who are excited about your book, word of mouth can be huge for promoting a book. Just like in the film industry, they rely upon word of mouth. In the book industry, it's the same thing. So you create enthusiasm, you can get local media, you can get shops, stores, locations to actually stock your books. And then what happened was, I'm going to go to the next slide. So she actually self-published 2,000 copies of this book, and she distributed a lot of these, I think, free, basically to get engagement. And so these weren't ebooks. She actually did print books, and she started getting a lot of interest, and then she got some national attention, and she actually had a publisher come to her, and she got a seven-figure offer, and a publisher picked this up, and then they did tremendous local tie-in promotion. There was a tourism office for the city of Salem, and they got involved in this. And I have to say, I used to be director of tourism for the city of Minneapolis many, many years ago in my youth. And at the time, the Mary Tyler Moore Show was very popular, and it was set in Minneapolis. And so I was able to do a lot of tie-in promotion with the Mary Tyler Moore Show to put Minneapolis on the map, so to speak. And so be thinking, even if it's not your hometown, think about locations that have good tourism offices or tourism promotion efforts. I'm originally from North Dakota, and they have some television star now of one of the TV shows. I can't remember which one it is. And the North Dakota Tourism Board is using him to do commercials to promote tourism in North Dakota. So every state has a tourism office. You know, every major city has a tourism office, and even smaller cities. And any place where they want to get tourism or they want to promote their community, it can be a tremendous tie-in. And so this can be, like I say, either fiction or nonfiction, but it is a great strategy. And then you can create like an army of evangelists for your book, and there's nothing more powerful than that. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is another great thing to do, is tie into a news hook. Tie into something that is newsworthy or in the news or in the popular culture, or that people are going to be interested in. In the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, there's a column. It's something like News of the Weird, and they have all this bizarre stuff that, is human interest, and it's funny, and people like to be entertained. So this is a great example. This is a book that I authored, Hands That Touch, Hands That Heal. This is Sister Rosalind Geffrey, who is now 86 years old and retired, but she built a massage empire and trained over 10,000 massage therapists, had 7 schools and clinics in 2 states. It all started in 1984 when she, as a Catholic nun, opened a massage center. Now, this is in the early days of massage, when massage was associated with prostitution. And there were massage parlors everywhere, and they were licensed by the cities because the cities knew they were houses of prostitution, basically. So here's this little nun. She's 4'10". She's from Strasburg, North Dakota. Grew up speaking German. Had kind of a little German accent, and the cutest little thing, but a Catholic nun. And she got into massage, and she opened this massage center. And the next day, the Vice Squad came and arrested her. And they hauled her down to the police station. And, she lived in a convent with other nuns. And then the following day, there's a newspaper story in the St. Paul Pioneer Press. The headline is, Nun's Massage Parlor Closed. Let's go back to this. Nun's Massage Parlor Closed. And you can see it's on this back cover of this book. So anyway, she became famous almost overnight because that was a local news story that was picked up by the Associated Press because it was so funny. and it went international. And all of a sudden, she was inundated with reporters from all over the world who wanted to interview her. She was on television, she was on radio, she was on the Joan Rivers show, and eventually she got featured in Time magazine. So I worked with her doing promotion, publicity, marketing, and then I wrote this biography, which she self-published, and we tied in to this news hook. So if you know what you need to be looking for is something that is either really hot right now in the popular culture and the media, or something that is so funny and kind of outrageous like this that you can actually tie into it. Not only did this build a massage empire, this sold a lot of books because we tied into this. Now, what happened because of that is a number of years ago, there was a baseball team that got started here in St. Paul, Minnesota, the St. Paul Saints, and it's co-owned by actor Bill Murray. As you know, he's a comedian, Saturday Night Live. This guy is hysterical. Turns out his sister is a nun, and so he heard about Sister Rosalind and wanted her to be like one of the stars in the audience at every St. Paul Saints game, giving live massages in the stands. And so there's a picture there in the slide of Sister Rosalind recently with Bill, and this made her more famous. Okay.
Oh, that's fantastic! That's such a fantastic story.
Okay, now so this sells books. So I tied in the promotion with the St. Paul Saints when I wrote this book and she published the book. They had the book at all the Saints games. They had her go out and throw the first pitch, and they're talking about her and the book, and then of course Bill has to get a copy of the book, and you know, man, if you can tie into humor too and something weird, I mean, honestly, there are things that the media just cannot resist, certain things. And so this is a great way to create some sort of foundation for a book that's going to get some interest. Okay, so let's go. All right. Now, identify a target niche audience and write for that niche. And I'm watching our time here. John Locke is like the case study for this. Okay, John Locke was a businessman. He was an entrepreneur and very successful in business. He was a multimillionaire by his, I believe, early 30s. And he said he had no talent as a writer, but he decided to get into self-publishing because he thought it was a business opportunity. So he wrote a book, and an agent looked at it and said, "This is possibly the worst written book I've ever read. You don't have a snowball chance in hell of ever selling anything like this." And he says, "Well, I beg to differ." And so he said, "Now, where should I go where I might get an audience?" First of all, it was going to be all e-books. He wasn't going to do print books. And so he went on Amazon and he looked at all these different categories, and he looked for a really solid niche where there was an avid readership, but, you know, they didn't have a lot of product because he didn't want to compete someplace where there was too much competition and he didn't have a chance because he knew he wasn't a good writer. So he created these Westerns, Emmett Love book series. These are like fiction novels set in the West. You know, I haven't read them, quite frankly. Maybe it's the Old West, the New West, I'm not sure. And he developed a relationship with these readers who are crazy about Westerns. And he wrote to fill what they wanted. You know, he did a lot of market research and feedback and engagement. And then he did another series, this Donovan Creed book series, and he sold in 5 months through his brilliant marketing, all right, and his crappy books, I guess, he sold 1 million ebooks. And so not only was he writing for a niche, and very careful to know. I mean, when you're writing for a niche, you want to know everything you possibly can about your target audience. You want to know, their habits, their demographics, where they live, what magazines they read. I mean, all of this. It really helps you. And so he did that research, but he practically gave his books away. They were 99 cents. They call him the 99 cents ebook millionaire. And so he treated this like a business. And so a lot of these success stories with books like his, especially fiction, you're going to find they get into doing a series, because once you have an audience, they're going to want more. They're going to want more, and you do sequel after sequel after sequel with characters that they actually kind of fall in love with and get connected with, and you want to know what's going on with that character. So John Locke was very, very successful with this. And so it's the niche audience, okay, and knowing that. And you can go on Amazon and you can look and see all these different categories and subcategories. Now, this is niche marketing. It's like there was a sign that was up on like Highway 494 here. I drove by it practically every day for years, and it was a road sign, a billboard, and it was a local bank here, and the sign said, "We are a legend in our own zip code." Okay, we are a legend in our own zip code. Okay, now that's niche marketing. Okay, how about being a legend in your own subcategory niche? And I mean, you can drill this thing down to cowboy, western, romances, historical, literary, set in 1820 or something. I mean, and there's this saying that if you can get 1,000 true fans who really like you as an artist, whether you're a writer, artist, musician, whatever, that you can make a living the rest of your life with just 1,000 true fans. Okay, so where can you find a niche where there's 1,000 people who are in that niche and they're going to be crazy about what you're creating, because you're going to cater to them. You're going to do market research. You're going to ask them, well, what do you like about this, or what don't you like about that, or what would you like to see in the next novel? And you have a blog and you have comments and you go back and forth with these people. You answer their emails, you engage with them, and they're going to love you. It's like, so think niche. If there's so much competition out there, there's so many people self-publishing now, and the world is just inundated, flooded with books. And so how do you differentiate yourself? How do you create some sort of an opportunity for yourself to be successful? Okay, and even with nonfiction, this applies with nonfiction and fiction. There are people out there that are experts in, let's say, social media marketing or something like that, and they have a niche, and they specialize in that, and they write books to that audience, and there's all kinds of specializations in different types of fields and professions. That if you can write informational guides, like I have a new client, and she's a cattle farmer and a veterinarian, and this woman is funny and quirky and fun, and she loves animals, and she lives on this big old farm by herself, and she has all these cows and dogs and cats, and she's written these guides like how to run a small farm by yourself, or how to create a small farm and be self-sufficient, or how to have sustainable agriculture with your grass-fed cows. I mean, there's a niche there, and it's a very small niche, but just think of that, I mean, that's an example. So I want to give you an idea of some of the best categories and niches, and I'm going to pull this actually from the library market. So the top fiction circulators in the library market in adult print books are number one is mystery and suspense. Okay, number two is general fiction. Number three is romance. Number four is thrillers. Number five is Christian fiction. Now, there's a huge market now for Christian fiction and Christian movies, and that's emerging and growing. So that is a good niche for a lot of people. Number six is women's fiction. Number seven is historical fiction. Number 8 is young adult. Number 9 is literary fiction. And number 10 is science fiction and fantasy. That's the top fiction circulators for adult print books. In adult ebooks, it's a little bit different. The order, it's the same categories pretty much, but number 1 is mystery suspense, same. General fiction, same. Romance, thrillers, and then women fiction is very strong with adult ebooks, and young adult is very strong. So then let's go look at nonfiction. What are the top nonfiction circulators in the library industry, in the library market, excuse me. This is a surprise to a lot of people, and I have clients who have done cookbooks, and I didn't realize that they're top sellers, cookbooks. So think about that, folks, cookbooks. Cooking is the top circulator in adult print books in the nonfiction category, okay? Second is medicine and health. Third is biography and memoir. So if you're into doing a biography or memoir, think the library market because it's very popular there. Number 4 is arts, crafts, and collectibles. 5 is history. 6 is how-to and home arts. 7 is self-help and psychology. 8 is travel. 9 is current events and political. And 10 is religion and philosophy. Now, that's in adult print books, the top circulators in the libraries. In adult ebooks, biography and memoir is number 1. That's very interesting because I have a lot of clients who are doing memoirs and biographies, a lot of them. Number 2 is cooking, even in an ebook. Number 3 is history. Number 4 is self-help and psychology. Number 5 is medicine and health. 6, current events and political. 7 is business and finance. 8 is religion and philosophy. 9 is travel. And 10 is how-to and home arts. So you have kind of a different ordering there of depending on print or ebooks, but those are all the same categories. So when you're planning your book, or even if you've written a book, you can rewrite a book. You can do a new edition on a book, and so you can take some of these strategies and you can actually incorporate that into a new edition of a book so that you are really trying to focus on your marketing. Okay,
hey, Joan,
so
I think we need to move along to your next example, who sounds really interesting.
Okay, which one is this now?
That is example for Amanda Hawking.
Okay, yeah. So Amanda Hawking, and a lot of you have probably heard of her. She is the poster child for self-publishing, and she amazing young lady from Austin, Minnesota. Grew up in Austin, Minnesota, and she was in her early 20s, and she'd been a great storyteller her whole life, and she started writing books, and she tried to submit to agents and publishers and got turned down and wasn't doing well with that, and she was working full-time at an assisted living facility and as an aide or something like that, and so she was living with a roommate, a friend of hers, and he said, hey, why don't you put some of your novels up on Amazon as ebooks? And she said, well, that's not a bad idea. So in 18 months, She sold 1.5 million copies of her young adult novels as ebooks on Amazon, and she has now written 17 novels, and she's only, 26, or maybe she's 30. I don't know how old she is right now. But here's the deal. She actually went to, like, Barnes & Noble superstores, and she looked at books and said, what is selling? How are they being displayed? What are the categories? What do people like? And what should I do? So she went into this young adult paranormal, and everything was vampires and werewolves, and she wasn't interested in that. So she decided to be very innovative, and she came up with a hook, and a little different approach to paranormal, because there's a huge appetite of young adults with paranormal, and she created trolls, her whole world of trolls, Trolls. And so the thing is, she's a really good writer, okay? And she could write a book, in about 2.5 months she could write a novel. So what she did is she put it up on Amazon. She basically gave her first book away for free or 99 cents, and she built a following. And she blogged, and she engaged with people, and she responded to their comments and to their emails, and she would stay up all night long doing marketing and writing, and then all day she worked in the assisted living facility. And she did careful industry research. So if you want to be successful, you need to know what's selling. You need to know what the audiences want, these different types of audiences. You need to know everything about them, the age grouping, what the trends are, who's innovating in this space, who's still popular in this space. And so she, I quite frankly, I'm not into young adult fiction, and I had never read a young adult fiction before Amanda, and I got to say her books are really good. I mean,
they are very good. She's a fantastic. Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Okay, so do your research, and again, target your audience and your category, and then don't do just the same old. Try to be innovative and come up with something. Okay, so now we're going to go into another marketing strategy, which is create a book series. Okay? Now, one of the most important things in business is when you're developing a business and you establish a customer base, it's very expensive to do that. They say it costs something like 7 times more to acquire a new customer than to sell to an old customer. Okay, so if you're an unknown author and you're writing a book, first of all, you're going to have to give it away pretty much for free so you can start establishing a customer base. Once you have a customer base, there's this concept called back-ending your customers, back-ending. Okay, now I have these customers. They like me. They think I'm nice. They trust me. What else can I sell them? What else can I do where, I can keep going back to them with more offers? And so that's why you create a book series, and you keep them engaged. And so, if you do this, you can have customers for life. And as I said, someone has said, I can't remember who it was, said that if you have 1,000 true fans, you can make a living, actually, as a writer. So there's this guy named Mark Dawson, and he's from Great Britain, and he was a lawyer, and he was a writer, and he wasn't successful with his books, and he decided, I'm going to just give my books away for free. So he had this one book he put on Amazon as an ebook, and he offered it for free. They had this program Kindle, I think Select, I think it's called. And it used to be really popular, and it used to be successful where 5 days out of the month they would offer your book for free, but then you had to have an exclusive with Amazon. And authors aren't using this so much anymore. It's not as successful, but a few years ago it was a really great thing to do. And so he said he was out for a bike ride in the countryside in England, and he thought he would check to see his Amazon sales, because he was giving this one book away for free over the weekend. And he had something like 25,000 downloads of the book the first day and something like 50,000 the second day. And he said the problem was he was very successful. He didn't make any money, but he had all these people that were reading his book, but he didn't capture their names, their emails, or any information about them. So he said the next time he decided to do this, basically giving away his books for free and everything, he was going to figure out a way to engage these people and bring them in as fans for life. And so today he has 32,000 readers on his mailing list. He's built a mailing list. He has 21,000 fans on Facebook and almost 6,000 followers on Twitter. And he engages with these people, and he now has, I don't know how many books he's written now. It's something like 15 or something. But he has these series. And I haven't read his books yet, but he has this John Milton series, which is a thriller, so it's a great category. It's kind of like the Bourne Identity, where, but Jason Bourne is an assassin, and then, he has an assassin who gets a guilty conscience and wants to do better. So it's, something tying into something that's popular and that people want more of. And then he did another series called the Beatrix Rose series, and I think it's about a female assassin. And that's probably going to be made into Hollywood movies. But what's really cool is if you go to his website, he says he's giving you an incentive to sign up for his mailing list. And so he offers a free book. His very first book, called The Cleaner, the ebook is $2.99 on Amazon. Well, you're going to get that for free if you sign up for his mailing list. Plus, you get several other things to read and excerpts, and so he's got a series, but he's also approaching this like a business. And he says that at some point you have to take off your artist hat, which is as a writer, and put on a business person hat and approach this like a business. So that's another tip that's really important if you want to be successful, is you have to have the combination of being a writer and a business person and a marketer. And online marketing is it, folks. I mean, it's Amazon, is selling 40% of all print books, over 60% of all ebooks. Almost all book marketing is online marketing today. So that's really something important that you have to do. Okay, so let's move along from Mark. And you can go to his website and check him out. Now, this is really interesting. The Martian, the movie The Martian with Matt Damon, nominated for Academy Awards, several Academy Awards. It basically was this guy, Andy Weir, or Weir, I don't know how you pronounce his name. So he had a website, and he started writing a chapter at a time and posting it on his website. And he had about 3,000 readers on his website who were getting back to him and giving him feedback on his book. And so he actually kind of changed the story, and adapted to basically feedback from his readership. And so he was giving away this book a chapter at a time. And so his readers finally said, well, we want a whole book. We don't want it just on your website a chapter at a time. So create an ebook. And so he did that. He put the whole book together and packaged it, and he got a stock photo of the Mars, a picture of Mars on the front. It wasn't Matt Damon at the time. And he put it on Amazon for 99 cents, and it went crazy. It's like it just started selling like crazy. And pretty soon he got a publisher came to him and somebody wanted to make the film, and there you go. Now he's rich and famous, right? And it was, he gave this content away for free to begin with. And if you're an unknown writer, quite honestly, that's what you're going to have to do, okay? Because people have to sample your writing. They have to, they have so many choices out there that, it's like, how are you going to compete? And to want to try to make money right off the bat as an unknown writer is very challenging, unless you have some very specialized information in the nonfiction category where people are willing to pay for it. So let's go to another example of giving away your content for free. Seth Godin. Seth Godin is a legend in business and marketing, absolutely brilliant marketing guy. And he published the most popular ebook ever written, and he gave it away. I can remember this many years ago when he just gave this book away, and let you download it from his website. And I think it was at least 500,000 downloaded or more for free. And it basically launched him into a very successful speaking career. And then he got publishing contracts all over the world with this. And so it all started out as a free download. Okay, so let's go to our next example. Okay, now this is something, I have not used Wattpad, but Wattpad. Wattpad is a thriving community of avid readers, and they have millions and millions of readers and authors and who are sharing their content. And you can go and create membership there. It's free basically. And you can upload a book or content or chapters or whatever for people to read and to give you feedback and to engage them. So there's this woman, Emily Bennett, and this was when Wattpad was starting out, and she had written something that wasn't, I don't think it was real successful, but she was a good writer. And so the Wattpad, she got a promo pack, and they said they had 10 million monthly readers, and that they would make her one of their featured novels. And so she started writing something there and putting it up, and it was really popular. And so she, they would put up, I think, chapter after chapter, and she became really, really well received, popular, and ended up then with a publishing contract. But she started publishing online for free and sharing her content. If you're a good writer and you have the right category and you are on the right platform where you can reach those readers that are interested in what you're writing, then you really have a chance to build a fan base. And that's what it's all about. So let's go past her. Okay, James Altucher is one of the most successful bloggers in the world. And I've been following him, I'd say, for about 3 years, and absolutely fabulous writer. Has written 15 books. I believe his first 12 books were published by regular publishers, and now he said all he's going to do is self-publish. He says he's had it with traditional publishing. He's got a fan base. He has over 2 million followers on his blog. So he's kind of a phenomenon. But even with the huge following that he has, and he said people that follow him on the blog, they get all these free articles, and so they really don't want to pay for a book. And so he had to come up with some way to promote a book he self-published called Choose Yourself. And he has a background in money and finance and investing. He was a hedge fund manager and really brilliant guy with finance. And so he did a partnership, a promotional partnership with somebody called Stansberry Research Group. And they have a huge mailing list. I don't know if they've ever divulged it, but I have heard that it's in the millions, like 2 million or something like that. And they also have subscribers to a number of newsletters they have. So they did a partnership with James, and he said he sold more books, like in the first week of them promoting this book, Choose Yourself, than he would have in a year or two to his fan base. And so I'm just gonna tell you a little bit. Let's see. The hardcover version, he had the softcover, which he self-published and offered, and then he did a hardcover version of Choose Yourself, which was kind of exclusive hardcover. And the Stansberry Research sold it and promoted it through their email newsletter, and they bundled it, the hardcover, with 3 free versions of James's past books, plus an original report that James did. Now, these are people interested in money, investment, finance, and so he did a report just for that market. And then he split the proceeds 50-50 after the cost of the hardcover was recovered, because Stansberry was going to pay for the hardcover. And he sold 20,000 copies the first month with Stansberry. And then, of course, that helped boost his sales, word of mouth, and becoming a best-selling book. And this is all from self-publishing. And he's done now spin-offs of this, like Choose Yourself for the Best Career or whatever. I don't even know what the other ones are, but this is where he can spin off from that brand identity of Choose Yourself. And so that is the wrap up there, and I think we have enough time for some questions if anybody has them.
Hey, Joan, that was just fantastic. I love the examples that you chose to share with us. I think there was a lot of variety there. I was just at a conference this past weekend, and I actually met Mark Dawson, who was one of the featured speakers there. And, I just can, totally agree with everything that you shared about him. One of the things that he, when you start talking about your mail list and sort of, building a mail list, at some point you have to sort of think about how you're going to manage that mail list. He uses a program called MailChimp to manage, all the different subscribers that he has to his mail list. And, that's something that the audience might want to take a look at. It's called MailChimp. Do you know MailChimp, Joan?
I use MailChimp. It is absolutely fabulous. Now, listen to this. It's free. It's free for the first, I think, 2,000 on your list. And then when you start to get up to 5,000 or 10,000, then there's a small fee. But it is very user-friendly. And there was another mailing provider that people were using in the past. I'm not going to say their name, but they became blacklisted because they were spamming too much. And so I actually recommended to all my clients they use MailChimp because I tested all these different ones and found that MailChimp got through the spam filters because they have not abused, And so that's a little tip that, you have to be careful who you use because some of these big email providers doing, the bulk emailing have been blacklisted, and they have a hard time getting through the filters. And so MailChimp is absolutely fabulous, and they're not paying me any fee to promote them. I just think
me either. And I can, Mark was really high on them. So, Kristen, do we have some questions that our audience has asked that we can provide to Joan while she's with us?
Sure, we have a few. What would be considered a good quantity of books sold in the self-publishing genre, or I guess as a self-publisher?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the brutal truth. This is the brutal truth, and you have to remember something here, that the measure of success for a self-published author is not necessarily the number of books sold. Okay, it's just not, because you could sell 10 books, and if you're a management consultant and your book is about management consulting and you get a consulting contract for $100,000 because somebody read your book, then I consider your book a great success. And so many people are self-publishing books just as kind of the new business card. It's like a marketing tool for, it establishes your credentials, your authority. People look to you as an author with more respect, and it can make you an expert and authority in your field. So it's not necessarily the number of books sold. That being said, the average number of books that a self-published author sells, and you have to remember, a lot of self-published authors are not creating really good books, and they're not thinking about their audience. They're not writing to their audience. They haven't picked the right categories, and so all they're going to sell to are friends and family. So the average number is 75 to 150 copies for the average self-published author. Now, if you sell 1,000 copies of your self-published book, that is fantastic. If you sell 5,000, that is phenomenal, because a very small percentage of books, even published by the traditional major publishers, very few of those books sell more than 5,000 copies. I mean, you'd be amazed. It's something like only 2% or something sells more than 5,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shocking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in IngramSpark, our average sale for our customers is about 500, but we have a fair number that are selling in the thousands. And especially selling out into libraries and bookstores, as you mentioned at the very beginning, Joan. But it's true. I mean, even as you say, traditional publishers, if you reach the $5,000 copy range, you're considered a success.
That's right. That's right. So if you do that, it's phenomenal. And even at 1,000. Go out and have a nice dinner and celebrate.
Yeah, and as you say, just publishing a book, especially in nonfiction or in a field where you're an expert, as Joan said, it gives you cachet as an expert in that area, and a book just automatically kind of elevates you against other people who don't have a book. So it definitely can carry you forward. Kristen, do we have another question?
Yeah, we do. If I charge $2.99 for an ebook, what distribution method should I use to maximize my own income?
Well, I got to tell you, use IngramSpark, because you can get into libraries, you can get into bookstores, you can get into, retailers, you could get into, it's, did they say ebook or did they say print?
Ebook.
She said ebook.
Ebook. So IngramSpark, they're a one-stop shop for all print on demand, print, hardcover, paperback, and ebooks. And just go in and look and see what the percentages of your, you have for profits and everything, and you can look at different avenues for doing it. But the $2.99 is. Go ahead, Robin.
That's a pretty standard price for ebooks. Although we're starting to see ebook pricing sort of rise. And Joan mentioned this in her presentation, where there was one author that sold more, when he priced his ebook rather than giving it away. And the trend of giving it away, one of the things that Mark Dawson mentioned in his presentation from this past weekend is that the trend to give away is kind of over. And, readers are starting to value, a price. So at $2.99, there are a lot of different areas or distributors or stores to sell an ebook through. Certainly Kindle is the number one platform to sell an ebook. IngramSpark can provide your ebook to that platform. You can go direct if you already have a direct relationship with Kindle, like a lot of authors do. Apple iBooks is one of the stores that have really grown in the past several years, and a lot of people are doing really well on Apple iBooks as well. And don't forget Kobo.
And if you do Apple iBooks and Kobo, you're going to have the EPUB formatting rather than the Mobi, which is the Amazon Kindle. So you have to have, and the formatting isn't, I don't think it's that expensive to do it, but it has to be done correctly.
Yeah, and in IngramSpark, what Joan was saying about the one-stop, so you are able in IngramSpark to upload a single EPUB, and then we submit and know how to work directly with those vendors like Amazon and Barnes & Noble Nook and Kobo and iBooks, and we can get your book directly onto those platforms as well, just from a single upload.
That sounds great.
That was a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I will try to get one more in here. So what marketing opportunities does IngramSpark make available for self-published authors?
So currently, we have offered direct marketing related to Ingram, and Ingram, has a, whole marketing division that provides catalogs to our retail and library partners, and those are called advanced publication, this catalog, and so you're able to purchase an announcement in one of those advanced catalogs. One of the things we're looking to expand into next year, and we totally are starting to work on this, is broadening the number of catalogs that you're able to, put an ad in or put an announcement in. For instance, we have specialty catalogs, around, certain holidays, certainly around Christmas, Mother's Day, and then around other times of the year like Easter, Valentine's Day, Women's History Month, Black History Month, special events that are special to readers. And so that's something that you need to look forward to for next year. And then we also, work with professionals as far as marketing, and someone like Joan can really help you sort of create a marketing plan and a marketing strategy for your book.
Which is important because if you don't have a strategy and a plan and a timetable, it's so easy to put that on the back burner. And, writers like to write, and a lot of them don't like to market. And so they need to be held accountable for doing at least something, if it's just even, basic marketing to make their book visible, and to have the right strategy so that they have an opportunity, at least have an opportunity for selling the book. And so if an author just wants to write, they're going to have somebody help them with the marketing. But a lot of authors are willing to do some of the marketing and are putting on both hats as the artist, writer, and the marketer. And I can help people, actually do that if they want to do it themselves. But it's very important to have the right strategy because the strategy is always the key to success. I mean, you have to implement a strategy, but if you don't have the right strategy and you're not going into the right category or you're not, doing all the important things you need to do to increase your likelihood of selling the book, which is a great cover, good editing, good distribution, and the right market.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
That's about all the time that we have right now. I just wanted to remind everyone that we will have a few follow-up emails where you'll get the recording and a couple of resources that we talked about today on the webinar. And make sure that you keep in touch via our social media and our newsletter, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.